Hey, what's going on everybody? It's ETAPRIME back here again. If you're looking to put together a low-cost gaming PC, then this video might be for you. Now, I've been doing a lot of research, and if you're a regular viewer of the channel, we do a lot of these small form factor builds using these office PCs. But this one right here is definitely turning out to be one of the best so far, and with the prices on these PCs and the prices on the GPU we're going to be throwing in this rig, it's probably worth it to go ahead and put one of these together. Because when it comes down to it, this offers some amazing high and ultra 1080p gaming performance. You don't mind dropping some of those settings down, you can go up to 1440p even with some of the newer AAA titles. And it all comes down to the GPU we're going to be using in this small form factor build. I opted to use an HP Elite Desk G3, you can also go with the G4 variant, but I would definitely stick with the i7-7700. That's about the best you're going to get out of the CPU with one of these. But as you can see here, there are some even listed for $99 with 8 gigs of RAM. This has a 7th gen i7 CPU, it came with 8 gigabytes of DDR4 and a 500 gigabyte M.2 SSD. Now if you don't want to go with an HP, you can always pick up a small form factor Dell or Lenovo, but they are out there for around $120. You can actually bid them out for maybe even cheaper if you're just patient about it. Now the first thing you want to do when you get one of these used office PCs is go ahead and clean it up. This one is really dusty compared to some of the other ones that I've purchased recently. Luckily, it does look like it was in an office setting and not somebody's house where they were smoking or where they had cats, so it's not horribly bad. A can of compressed air, or if you've got an air compressor or even a vacuum, will work really well to go ahead and get this out of there. But since these basically ran all the time in an office, we do want to replace the thermal paste on that CPU to try to keep those temps down. And yeah, we've got a little bit of blockage there with dust on that CPU cooler, so getting in there with a vacuum or even just pulling it off and kind of wiping it down is going to work out. But with this, I definitely want to replace that paste because I can guarantee you it's never been replaced on this PC. I used Noctua thermal paste, and that's because I've got a giant tube of it, but with a PC like this, I wouldn't mind using some cheaper stuff that I picked up on Amazon. As long as I've got some new thermal conductive compound on there, I think I'll be good to go. So first thing I need to do is go ahead and remove the cooler. And once I got that off, I can see that, yeah, this has been dried out for a little while. Basically, all of it's just stuck to the cooler itself. We don't have much left on the CPU. And of course, we want to clean the cooler and fan up. This one's pretty bad, but it's not as bad as I've seen in the past. And these will look like this. They're used PCs. There's really no way around it. But a lot of them do clean up really nicely with just a vacuum or some compressed air. Now with this unit, we got 8 gigabytes of RAM. We also got that 500 gigabyte M.2 SSD, but we're not going to be able to game on the internal graphics with this Intel CPU. Of course, some indie games will still run on it, but in order to really turn this into a gaming machine, we need to add a dedicated GPU. And for this, we're going to be going with the most powerful low-profile dual-slot GPU on the market, the RTX A2000. So these are coming in at around $250 used on Amazon right now, and it's well worth it. Performance is on par with an RTX 3050, and with some overclocking, you can beat that out. It's got 6 gigabytes of VRAM, and when you pick one of these up on Amazon, I'll leave a link in the description, it's going to come with a high-profile bracket. Unfortunately, that's the way they're selling them right now. A low-profile bracket is around $8 to $12 on eBay, but most of them are shipping from China, and it's going to take a little while to get in, so keep that in mind. A used RTX A2000 is around the same price as a brand new low-profile GTX 1650. And I completely understand why people don't want to buy used GPUs, but I've actually picked up 2 of these so far, had really good luck with them, and they outperform the GTX 1650 by leaps and bounds. Alright, so now that I've got everything cleaned up, I did want to add a little more RAM. This only came with 8 gigs. Most of the time, these will come with 16. You can get an 8 gig stick for around $10. This utilizes 2400 megahertz RAM. And now it's time to add the GPU. Now, the only downside I've run into with the A2000 is the fact that I have to wait a while to get a low-profile bracket shipped from China. I've ordered 2 of them, and I think they'll be here next week. So I've just pulled the high-profile bracket off. And I'm going to be using a piece of Pay-Lite just to kind of keep this up. It's a very light card. I'm not going to damage it right now. And as soon as I get those brackets in, I can go ahead and add one to this rig. Now, all that's really left to do is a little bit of setup with the operating system. I'm going to go with Windows 11 Pro. Okay, so here it is. Been up and running for a little while now. As you can see, we've got that i7-7700. There's not a lot that we can tweak and tune with this system, given that it's an OEM system. There's a little bit of power management in the BIOS, but overall, we're kind of stuck at 65 watts here with this CPU. That's what it's rated at. And this will boost up to 4 gigahertz on all 4 cores, but we can't go to 4.2 on all 4. It'll do it on 1. And of course, really, the main claim to fame here is that RTX A2000. We've got 6 gigabytes of GDDR6 with it, and it's a great performer, but we've got it paired up with kind of an older CPU here, so I'm really interested to see what it'll do. So the first thing I wanted to do was just kind of run a few GPU benchmarks. We're going to go with 3D Mark. First up, we've got Night Raid. We got a total score of 30,987, and I'll tell you right now that some APUs do score higher than this, especially the new Ryzen 7000 series APUs with RDNA 3 graphics, but not on the GPU side, because here with the graphics score alone, we got a 63,308. On the CPU, we only scored 7,960, so that's what's really holding us back with this one. So let's move over to Firestrike. 13,614, definitely looking a lot better here. And the last one we ran was Time Spy with a respectable 6,082. Definitely not going to win any synthetic benchmark awards, but I still think we can get some awesome gaming out of the way on this, so let's move over there now. And first up, we've got a brand new one, Diablo 4. I completely understand it's not a super hard game to run, but it's really impressive to see a machine like this get over 130 FPS on average, 1080p high. This is one of those games that a lot of people are playing right now, and building a cheap machine for this would work out really well. When it comes to CSGO, I knew we'd have a great time with it. Very high 1080p. And, even this old 7th gen Intel i7 definitely can run this game very well. That A2000 is great, and we could go up to 1440p here if you wanted to lock it down at 60. Other esports games would run just fine on this machine, like Apex Legends, Overwatch 2, and even Fortnite, all at 1080p high over 60. Here's Spiderman Remastered, and we're going to see the same kind of performance with Spider-Man Miles Morales. 1080p high, but I've taken population density down to medium because that really does take a toll on that CPU, and sometimes we dipped under 60 when it was set to high. But with it turned down just a bit, we can get an average of 75 FPS out of Spider-Man here. If we had just a little more out of this CPU, even if we could add a little more wattage to it, I think we'd be fine at all high settings. But given that we're stuck right there at 65 watts, this is how we need to run it. Here's Forza Horizon 5, 1080p high, and I also tested this at 1440p. Believe it or not, on this same system, we got an average of 72 FPS at 1440 high settings with no DLSS or any other kind of resolution scale. In fact, we can run this at 1080p Ultra over 60, but I left it at high and we netted an average of 137 FPS. This game is just very well optimized, and I've had really good luck with it. OG Skyrim, I knew we'd be able to run it, but I still like to test it. Still one of my favorite games. Very high, so we're maxed out here at 1080p. We can also run this at 1440p, very high settings. Here's Horizon Zero Dawn, 1080p high, and I just used the built-in benchmark because it does go over quite a bit. This is another one of those games I got to give the developers props for because it's very well optimized for PC, and even on lower end APU systems, I've been able to run this very, very well. But on this system here, we had an average of 95 FPS, a maximum of 185, and a low of 46. And finally, of course, we had to test out Cyberpunk 2077, 1080p, medium, population density is also set to medium. That's something that really kills the CPU, and I do wish we had a few more cores or just new architecture. It's only 7th gen, you got to keep that in mind, so some of those settings may need to be turned down that really hit up that CPU. But we got an average of 78 FPS out of this at medium settings. Okay, so while I was doing all of my testing with this PC, I had it plugged into a kilowatt meter. That way I could monitor how much power is being pulled from the wall. Now this is total system power consumption. At idle, 37 watts. Average gaming, 138 watts. And the maximum that I could get this to pull while maxing out the CPU and GPU was 178 watts. So in that extreme test, yeah, we're getting really close to that 180 watt power supply constraint, but under everyday normal use and even 1080p gaming, we're nowhere close to that, and the 180 watt power supply is going to be fine in this unit. I know some people are going to ask, but I did want to show you how I have this GPU propped up. I've got some heat resistant foam right here on the back side of the GPU, kind of just making contact there to hold it in. And lucky for me, the hard drive bracket actually has a little bit of a flexible arm on it. So I just kind of bent it down a bit, have a piece of foam on that, and it's just propping the GPU up. But as soon as I get that low profile bracket, I can go ahead and add it. But you know, it will take a while to get one if you're thinking about building something like this. So yeah, overall, loving the performance this thing's putting out. And you know, I've actually always been a big fan of these G4 front plates. I don't think it's a bad looking PC. Obviously, when you get one, it might be a little scratched up, definitely going to be dusty, but you can kind of clean it up. Given the price point that you can put one of these together right now, it might make a lot of sense for some people who are looking for a good 1080p gaming rig. And picking up one of these used RTX A2000s at that $249 price tag, in my opinion, is well worth it if you're looking for the best low-profile dual-slot GPU on the market for these small form factor rigs. And pairing this up with a 7th Gen i7 really does a great job. But that's going to wrap it up for this one. If you're interested in putting something like this together, I'll leave some links in the description. You can pick most of this stuff up on eBay. Some people might be selling these RTX A2000s over there also, but I've had really good luck on Amazon. Plus, we've got that return policy over there just in case. If you've got any questions or if there's anything else you want to see running on this, let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoy seeing videos like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button and think about turning notifications on so you know when I post the next one. But that's it for this one. And like always, thanks for watching.